Joining me now to shoot down my crazy conspiracy theory and talk about COVID and other things is Jeff Deist. He is the president of the Mises Institute. Jeff, okay, I have this wacko conspiracy theory. I have to give it to you right off the bat, and you can just blast it out of the sky. You're totally free.
Okay.
I say this. I say the world elites are scared to death of this trucker convoy in Canada. I say in some way they have gotten to Justin Trudeau and told him in no uncertain terms you cannot bow to these truckers for fear that that kind of thing would spread to other countries. And I say this Canadian thing, and I hope I'm wrong, gets very, very, very ugly from here. I could see military called in. I could see mass incarceration of these truckers. What say you?
Yeah, isn't it interesting that these soft liberal types, these emotive types like Justin Trudeau, turn out to be such authoritarian fascists in their actual actions, and it's the hard guys like Trump who actually turn out to be doves? I mean, I don't think you're far-fetched. Look at it this way. All governments have, especially Western governments, is this sense of legitimacy. And I think this trucker thing right now is almost teetering on the edge of being like a Brexit or even beyond that. I mean, if they don't quash this, then they'll be required to pivot in the media. They're already trying to do that a little bit on the COVID narrative and lockdowns and vaccine mandates and saying, we weren't really for that. But if they don't quash this, and if the truckers actually get their demands met, which is essentially to allow Canadian life to go back to normal, which is no great shakes, it just means you're not treated like a prisoner everywhere you go showing your papers. If they win, Trudeau either has to change that media narrative radically, or he's got to quash it. And quashing it, as you point out, probably involves some pretty nasty physical kinetic action. So I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not sure how that works either. I hope to God I'm wrong. All right, but on to what you were just talking about. We already played earlier in the show Lena Wen's comments on CNN about, hey, look, we can't have all these restrictions now. Let's not be crazy. I do want to point out that Communist Tag has been championing every single restriction for the last 2 years. But she's not alone, Jeff. This is the norm right now. Ted Lieu, all these wacko vaccine mandate lovers out there, all of a sudden they all sound like Ron DeSantis and Thomas Jefferson rolled into one. What's happening?
Well, it's not that the science has changed, the politics have changed. I think this is about the midterms and about what they think is going on. I mean, this woman, I'm trying to think, I think I dislike her more than Fauci. I mean, that's a pretty strong statement from my end anyway. But what's happening here is that even blue state governors in California and New Jersey are reading the tea leaves. They're saying lockdowns aren't having the effects we wanted. And by effects, I don't mean health, I mean politics. It's not bolstering them. And I think Biden is worried about all this. We've seen Democrats start to turn on him and talk about how bad his first year has been. They're trying to push him out in favor of Hillary because they know Kamala is a non-starter. So I think you got to put all this together. And you just wonder when someone like Dr. Wen says this, do they not realize that the internet is forever? Or are they just counting on our short attention spans that they can reverse course? We're not going to call them on it. It's really disheartening for me anyway to see these same people who are wrong about so many things continue to be propped up. And God knows she'll probably be plaguing us the next time we have a virus.
Oh, gosh, you probably will. All right, you know what? On to that, just on piggybacking on something you just said right there. Do you think this will be effective, Jeff? I mean, Lena Wen being a full-blown communist yesterday and now a freedom lover today, do you think the people who've frankly fallen in love with coronavirus and the restrictions and everything else, do you think they're going to pivot with them?
Yeah, people love it. I think they get a romantic sense of their own lives, like we're in World War II or Gone with the Wind or storming the beaches of Normandy. I think there's really a sick psychology to people. You might almost call it retreatism from life. They're not particularly happy and they like this idea that we stay home and wear masks. Look, I think a pivot can be accomplished in the media sense. I think Biden could effectively tell the CNNs of the world, hey, look, change your tune on COVID quickly. I think you can pivot on that between now and the midterms. And what they can't do is get the supply chain and these inflation things under control because these problems are baked into the cake. You can't flip a switch and make those go away. So he's, I think, looking at that, he, meaning Biden, to the extent he looks at anything, and making a calculated decision to change the tone. And we've seen that from Jen Psaki the other day when she said, well, most of those lockdowns were the previous administration. So yeah, I wouldn't fault them for banking on the short attention spans of the American public. That's for sure.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the first on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.